Nope.
So I do, if you're facing any of their courts and they get going on it, just let me give everybody some advice here tonight. I get all these calls, I get all these letters, I get all these texts, emails, you name it. People who are facing off these courts. Okay? All you need is one point. Just one thing. And it can be a relatively small thing. It doesn't have to be thousands of pages. It doesn't have to go into the history of the world, okay? All you need is one point. Where's the law? And knowing what a law is as opposed to a statute, blah, 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 is a real good place to start with any of these court things. If you actually get roped into having to appear, you get arrested or whether, you just stand there and you ask them, where's the law? And they'll try to present the statute, and you'll say, no, I don't mean the administrative code. I don't mean the statute. I don't mean the regulation or an ordinance or anything of that kind. I mean, where is the public law? And if they don't have it, then they're just SOL.
But 2 weeks ago, you told us to stay out of their court.
Stay out of their court by all means that you can. There's no reason for you to be in their court. You don't belong to their little club. You're not part of their legal society. And you're not a member of the city either. So there's no reason for you to be in their courts. You have your own recognizance and you have your own land and you have your own courts and you have your own life. So stay away from their courts if at all possible. Sometimes, of course, they grab you by the collar and you're sucked into it, okay? We recently published what, according to them, is the correct answer. When you get a summons or other paperwork that's addressed to any all capital name, you just write back to them and you say, return to service, no UCC contract trust, period. And if they send you other stuff subsequent to that, that's in the upper and lower case name, you do the same thing. You send it back to them, return to service, no territorial office or officer. I mean, these are just little short, a few words. And the
And that
instructions.
the article is 3861.
Yeah, it's called What to Do. Okay? What to do. And it's very simple. It does not take a whole lot of knowledge. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It certainly spares the ink and time, I'll tell you what. One of the problems with patriots is that they're very verbose. They like to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and bring forward the entire history of this thing from day one. And, that just gives the opposition all of the latitude in the world to argue and find fault and pick, 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 pick and draw things on and take your energy and your money. So don't let them do that. When you receive any written communication from any of them, be it an agency, be it a court, be it any of it, just follow the instructions in that article. And the article covers the municipal person that is being misaddressed at your address, okay? So the only other thing that can happen is that after they've exhausted their ability to misaddress you as a municipal trust, they may come back and they may try to serve essentially the same complaints or the same paperwork to a British territorial person addressed in upper and lower case. And like I said, the answer to that is just as simple. Return to service, no territorial office or officer. Now, a lot of people are getting a little confused with that phrase, returned service. And they think that it has something to do with, like return to sender. It's not that. Returned service is when you return a service. Okay? They served you in the sense of serving paperwork, right? So when you say returned service, it means that you're doing in kind and you are returning service. Doesn't mean that you've rejected the service. You've received the service and now you're returning the service.
And that's important because that means that you can't be held in contempt of court and you can't be served a warrant because you've returned the service.
Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
this is a way of replying to those charges without replying in a way that can get you snagged into their system.
Exactly. So you stay in your lane, they stay in their lane, and never the twain shall meet.
And you can do this at any stage of the entire process. The best time to nip it in the bud is when you first get that first piece of paper. You look at it, you see if it's addressed to an all capital letters name or if it's addressed to an upper lowercase name. And then you automatically know that if it's an if it's all capital letter name, well, then they're addressing a municipal citizen that doesn't exist. And, a municipal corporation that doesn't exist so far as you're concerned. And you do return service, no UCC contract trust.
That's perfect, Anna. And we've been beating the drum on that one, especially in our litigation call.
And it works very well. It works at the beginning of cases, it works in the middle of cases, and it works at the end of cases.
Which is amazing. Well, we're at the top of our 2 hours, believe it or not.
Time flies.
I know, it sure as heck does. But we still do need those donations, right?
Well, yes, even though I'm asking you to send money to everybody on earth, no, I'm asking you to support these other legal actions. Our lawful action requires a lot of work, and all of the research and all of the other actions that go on into the lawful side of this, it's just extensive and it constantly expands. So we're, once we get the information, then we have to get it out. Once we get it out, then we have to expand upon it some more and learn some more and tear deeper into these things so that we're in position to make a difference. That knowledge is power, has to be maintained and expanded upon. So that in the end, we're standing there with everything in our grasp and our enemies are just going, because they don't know what we know. Okay? So, right now we've got ongoing investigation into the U.S. trustees. Who are they? What do they do? What rights do they have? Where do they get their authority? There are so many questions that need to be answered about U.S. trustees. Why are they trustees? Who picks them? Every time there's a bankruptcy, everything gets handed over to the U.S. trustees. So it really does behoove us to inspect and find out who the U.S. trustees are, doesn't it? Especially since we're considered the donors and the shareholders of these bankrupt corporations, and therefore the ones who have to pay for them. I think that this is a central issue of ultimate importance to everybody concerned. And, we are beginning to zero in on that. Another thing is, why aren't bills of exchange accepted in America in a proper way? Bills of exchange are as good as cash and have been since 1882 under British law. So how is it and why is it that Americans and Brits alike cannot use bills of exchange as cash? There are records of people using bills of exchange to pay off things like mortgages that are public debt. And it appears that bills of exchange are intended to pay off public debt. So why aren't they being used to pay off public debt? These are important questions. These are important questions to me and to you and to everybody else here. Why is it that even though we've been fully funded since 1941, all governments on earth have had more than enough funding since 1941, why haven't we continued to pay taxes? And why should we pay a sales tax either? These are the sorts of things that we continually pick away at, that, that we try to research, that we try to bring forward, and at the same time keep on top of all the other issues that are current day issues. So as you can see, it's a mammoth task. There's a lot to do. Our researchers, for the most part, are wonderful volunteers. They may have a few things that they need help with, like paying to go somewhere to find a book, or there's all sorts of little extraneous expenses that go into this. And then we have all of the other kinds of things that happen day by day: travel stipends, support, materials, postage, you name it, we've got it. And of course, we try to help our volunteers as much as we can when something happens that they just cannot take care of themselves and keep working for us. So we've even been known to do things like buy hot water heaters. But that making that possible is what keeps our volunteers going and gives everybody the means and the impetus to make this effort and continue to make the effort. And until we get our ducks in order with the banks and with the prepaid credit that we're owed and with the assets that we're owed, it's going to be this way. It's going to be those that are standing out there in the winter gales and still standing anyway.
Thank you, Anna. That's absolutely correct. We just all do what we can, and, it takes all of us.
It takes all of us, and it takes consideration and thought. There are all sorts of things that go on that I couldn't even begin to get into, that require daily ability to respond. It's sort of like being a tennis player and having a dozen balls come over the net at once. And that's just the way it is. And right now, there is not the largesse or the ability to train fast enough to be able to do anything but what we're doing right now, which is hanging
The best we can.
Right, the best we can, hanging on. We've got our hands on the edge of the frame here, and we're just hanging on. We're just making it work. But we are making it work, and that's the important thing.
Absolutely. And you're a huge part of that. We send our love and our gratitude to you for all of your hard work. You, your family, your team, and thank you so much, Anna. We are very grateful.
Well, I hope you're all proud of that lawful claim we made.
Very proud. Can't wait. So excited.
Yes, well, it's been a long time coming, but we're doing what we need to do, and everybody is hanging in there, and we will get through this together.